Good afternoon, friends and family. Warning up front, I don't have any flight footage today. Over the last 3 days was only 2 flying days, the first of which the footage looks pretty similar. Had some flights today, and they actually looked pretty good, but the instructor had it and I didn't get it from him before we all left. And yesterday we did not fly. The wind was too much in the morning and in the evening, and we just did the kiting practice. And so for the rest of the video, I'm going to talk about gear. I'm going to talk about things that I thought I would be using, things I ended up deciding to get, and I have a bit of show and tell here. So that's going to be the rest of the video. It might end up being pretty long, so I guess this will be for the die-hard folks. So when I first was looking into motors, so this is the actual frame plus the engine plus, whole 9 yards. I was looking at getting, and I actually bought the Maverick Moster, M-O-S-T-E-R 185. So you can just Google that to take a look at pictures. It's the titanium frame, and that's pretty cool. So titanium, first of all, it looks good. It's shiny. It kind of pops a little bit when you see someone that has it. Has a blue band around the riser guard, and I paired it with the larger Moster motor. And my rationale behind that was I thought that I would do really well in training, and that I would want to have a more powerful engine, because I thought that that would be more fun, more like a roller coaster ride, because all power gives you in paramotor is more lift. You go up in the air faster, more elevation faster. You do not go forward faster with a larger motor. You do in the sense of it weighs more, so the heavier you are as your all-up weight, the more you punch through the air, and the more forward momentum you have to have in order to maintain lift. But increasing your power, just all it does is swing you up more, and then this is a word, I can't think of it. Your climb rate is higher. That's the word I was looking for. So I went ahead and bought it. And the reason why I went ahead and bought it was because there's basically 2 motors. There's the Moster, then there's the Atom. The Moster is the heavier, more powerful engine. The Atom is the lighter, less powerful engine. And I thought I would want the Moster for 2 reasons. One, they didn't have any for sale, so you have to order it. They make it, they send it out. So I was like, okay, well, they have Atoms, and if I order a Moster, then I'll have both available to me when I complete training to have as new. Throughout training, I did not progress through training as fast as I thought I would, and it was for the reason that I thought, which was my stamina was not very good. So a handful of failed launches and I'm tuckered out. I'm ready to have some water, sit down and watch other people. And there was 2 days where I definitely could have kept going had I had more stamina. And although I don't think that affected things too much, what I did was, I think a couple of days ago, maybe 2 or 3 days ago, I sat down, I rewatched all my videos, and I said to myself, does this guy that I'm watching, does he need more power? Is this going to help him or is it going to hurt him? And I came to the conclusion that it would not help me. I would have a harder time inflating the wing, getting it over my head. I'd be worried about not tripping, things like that with a heavier motor. And the difference in weight is about 8 to 10 pounds, something like that. Actually ends up being more like, when you account for the more gas that the larger motor uses, ends up being more like 12 pounds, something like that. So, but I did I did buy it knowing that it's a popular frame and it's a popular motor, and that Aviator PPG would work with me in terms of switching to something else. So that's what I did. So I made the decision to go with the lighter Atom 80. And there's actually a lot of advantages that the Atom 80 has over the Moster. The one advantage that the Moster has is it has more power. Everything else is worse. It gets worse gas consumption, which means that you have to carry more gas, which adds more weight. It is louder, it vibrates more, it's heavier, it has more issues because of the higher vibration. These are single cylinder two-stroke motors. They rev really high and they are constantly shaking themselves apart. So there are a lot of issues that these motors have, and this is why they're pretty unreliable. And that's why you always fly assuming that your motor is going to go out. It's because that one cylinder piston is just shaking the whole thing apart constantly. And in fact, the way that the motor attaches to the frame is basically rubber bushings. So it plugs on one side of the rubber piece, and the rubber piece plugs into the other side of the frame, and it can just wiggle like this. So if you ever see slow motion, especially on some of these older engines, of someone powering up, you see the pilot's nice and steady, the frame's giggling a little bit, and the motor's just going crazy in the back. That's just how these things work. So the Atom 80, because it has less vibrations, it's shaking itself apart. It not only does it have less vibration, but it has less mass that it's wiggling apart too. So all of that said, the Atom 80 engine is a more reliable engine motor, and it's lighter. So not only did I go with the Atom 80, I did not go with the Maverick frame. So you can go back and look at the first videos with the Maverick. The Maverick in my videos is the one with the shiny frame and the black hoop, and the Rider is the one with the white hoop. Probably none of you will go back and look at it, but anyway, there's two different frames that I flew. The Maverick one, the seat was difficult for me to get into. So if you watch the videos, it looks like I'm just kind of dangling from it, like my legs are super low, and then you just see me fly away. I'm just like that. Well, the reason for that is that during that time I can't actually get into the seat. I'm looking to stow my brakes and then push myself up into the seat like this. Not pleasant. Not the end of the world, but not pleasant. However, once I'm in the seat, the Maverick is it's like this lazy boy I'm sitting in. It's just comfy little. It kind of hugs your butt. It kind of hugs your lumbar support, and it's all nice and padded, and just like I'm in the seat. On the other hand, the Rider, which is Fly Products, it was much easier to get into the seat. The seat's wider, it's flatter, it has more weight control authority. So if I lean this way, the glider will turn to my right. The Maverick, that's less pronounced, which is, I think it's better for it to be more pronounced. It gives you more ability to maneuver without having to use your hand inputs. So you can do things like, I'm just sitting up here, I have my brake stowed, and I'm just relaxing. Oh, I want to turn a little bit to the right. Now I'm turning to the right. Oh, I want to go back around to the left. Now I'm going back to the left. I don't have to do anything. I'm just relaxing. So with those two frames, it was kind of give and take. Entered the third frame. The third frame is the Eclipse. The Eclipse is different from the previous two in that it's a full 12 pounds lighter. Just the frame itself is 12 pounds lighter than the other two. So, in fact, the Atom 80 Eclipse, all up on my back, is 38 pounds without gas, which is amazing. And the way it does it is it's a carbon fiber spar with aluminum. Everything else is aluminum, and quite thin aluminum too. So it does mean it's a bit fragile. Thankfully, I haven't had any more butt landing since the butt landing video, so we'll see how that goes. And it's easily to repair. It's easy to repair. Those carbon spars break before anything real serious breaks if you hit the hoop. So it's all kind of plug and play repairs. And one of the nice things about the titanium is that titanium has, you can take a titanium bar and you can bend it, then you can bend it back, then you can bend it, then you can bend it. And you can do that several times. There's a certain number of times it'll do that before it starts breaking. Aluminum has a much lower tolerance for that. So you can bend aluminum and then you bend it back and it still has that dent in it. And it's like, okay, now what? But on the other side of that is welding titanium is extraordinarily expensive. So if you actually like have a T-junction and that T-junction snaps, getting that T-junction closed is $100 per spot. So if they put 2 spots on it, one on this side, one on this side, that's a $200 repair just to get that thing back on there. Whereas aluminum, you can take it down to any body shop and they'll tack that thing back together. So I went with the Eclipse Atom 80, which I have a few pictures of. I'm going to put them in right here. So I'm actually really excited about this frame. It has it has a nice, it's more narrow than the Rider. I was telling you how wide the seat was. One of the issues I had about the wide seat is because of that weight shift authority. When you weight shift to the right, you see how my left hand goes up, my right hand goes down. The seat actually does that too. So the seat kind of goes like that. So when you weight shift to the right, the seat kind of dumps you over to the right. And it's not scary or anything, but if I want to go to the left, now I've got to climb that hill and then boom, it goes the other way. Whereas with the Eclipse, the hang points are actually a little closer to each other, which is really good for me. It allows my arms to hang more down, whereas with the Rider, because the arms were further apart, my arms would hit further down my arm. It was a little less comfortable. So, and 12 pounds lighter. So for reference, what I had bought, which was the Maverick Moster 185, weighs about 55 pounds dry on your back. This is 38 pounds dry on your back. Big difference. So standing out in the heat, it's middle of July, Central Florida. You know, some days we're out there, we can be out there kind of late, you know, 9:30, something like that. You know, the heat's cooking, and yeah, so you can see how having that thing sitting on your back can tire you out. Also, I have to live with this thing, so my plan is to, for the majority of the times that I intend on moving it around, I'm going to stick it in the RV with me. I'm going to put it right behind this camera. So getting it in and out this RV door with these 3 steps, much easier with 38 pounds than 55 pounds. Just so dragging it out to the field, what if I land out in a pasture someplace? Well, I've got to hike back to the road. Well, I'm hiking back everything that I took with me, so minus 25 pounds would be welcome in that scenario. So, you know, there's a lot you give up for that power with the Moster, and I'm actually really excited with the Atom 80 after flying it a lot. And also, I have not tried the Moster, and I don't want to try it because I'm afraid I'm going to like it, and I'll be like, it's all worth it. No, I want to be a successful and safe pilot, right? So the more chance I get to go out to the field, the less barriers there are for me to go out to the field, the more likely I'm going to do it, the more likely I'm going to practice, the more likely I'm going to get better, and less likely I will hurt myself. So mistakes in this sport are almost all pilot-induced errors, which is either you weren't practicing enough or you were trying to force a situation. So hope is not a thing in aviation, and luck is not, or luck is, but just hoping hope. Yeah, sorry. So hope is not something you want to rely on. All right, so that's the motor talk. I have some accessories here I want to go through that I have purchased. So the first accessory is an Aviator branded helmet. This thing is packed full of features, and I won't spend too much time on it just to not bore you too much, but obviously the first feature, it's a helmet. Second feature is that it has these really nice ear cups that you know, really makes it comfortable so you don't hear the motor behind you. The next feature that it has is these extra wide air holes to help air out, you know, cool your head, especially because I live in Florida. Super nice. I don't have any plans right now to go up in the mountains and whatnot, but I imagine you can just kind of layer up underneath this thing, and that should be good. So the next thing is that on this ear I can plug in a two-way communication radio, some stuff you buy off of Amazon, and on this side I can put in the aviation band, and on this side I can plug in an aviation radio, which lets me talk to the frequency that other planes and airports are on. So I can have both connected simultaneously and hear both simultaneously. So I can push this button here to talk on the shortwave radio. I can push this button here to talk to the airport. On the back is a Bluetooth device that hooks Bluetooth to phone, and I can make and receive phone calls and listen to music. The phone call, everything that comes over this Bluetooth can be heard over the navigation stuff. What I mean by that is, let's say I'm listening to music, I can keep the music at a reasonable level. I can have the other radios up fairly high, and when something comes in over the radio, it will play it over the music. So that's a really good feature as well. Lastly, and this is a smaller thing, a lot of people like to strap a GoPro to the front of their helmet, and this allows me to attach the mic output into the GoPro, and also the audio from both radios will be sent to the GoPro as well. So if I'm two-way communicating with someone over the radio, then that will all be recorded over the audio. So this thing is really just chock-packed full of features, and very nice, and you know, it's pretty attractive looking helmet. So that's that. And then along with it, of course, is the airport communication radio. And then I'll have here, this is my reserve, although I'm hoping I can go back and ask and see if they have one that's in black rather than this obnoxious orange. Maybe the reserve itself is black. But anyway, you may ask, well, why isn't that on the motor? Well, when it comes to reserves, it is definitely the last ditch effort. Paramotor reserves are not a fun landing. People still break legs and sprain ankles and arms and everything, but you're alive. Your equipment is certainly going to be smashed if you use a reserve. So it's under the scenario that you're completely not in control of the wing. It's tangled up, you know, whatever it is, and so you throw the reserve. It's a parachute, and it takes over from there. The other thing is that it needs a certain amount of altitude in order to deploy properly, which is somewhere around the 200-foot mark. So they say, generally speaking, if you're over 200 feet and something happens, not only does it need that much room, but there's enough time for you to recognize that there's a problem, control the problem well enough to throw the chute, the chute deploys and actually saves you. So in training, a lot of our time is spent under this limit, and the chute itself can cause problems. So for example, 3 weeks ago, a student brought their own equipment and a packed chute, and on launch the chute deployed, wrapped around the propeller, and destroyed the equipment. It just wound it up and really just tore up that motor. The guy was okay, but it's an example of how this device, if it's not properly checked and maintained, can actually work against you. So I've got one just so that I've got it, so that if I ever decide to start flying higher, or maybe cross country in particular, if the weather changes on you, or whatever it is, I think either tomorrow or the next day they're going to teach us how to install, pack and install the device. You don't pack the chute, but you do have to pack it in a little deployable pouch, and then you have to mount that pouch to the paramotor correctly. So that's the chute. Another safety device is this also Aviator branded flotation device. So this straps to the shoulder strap of your frame, and you pull the inflate and it poofs up. Now I think it also has a wet sensor in it, so if it gets soaked through, it knows to inflate. I'm not a big fan of water, so I will probably be sticking this on there sooner rather than later. Also in Florida, I don't know if you guys know, but Florida has a wet season and a dry season. In the dry season, things are, well, they're dry, but in wet, they're definitely wet. So places that would be dry in December can be 2 feet of water in this time of year, or 3 feet, or even waist high in places. So you can get used to flying over a certain area that would be a safe landing spot in some months, but then in other months it could still kill you. So so that's good. Also you can double up on protection, so you can wear a fisherman's vest on your person in addition to having the flotation device. So until these things were widely used on paramotors, the leading cause of death of paramotors was landing in water. Not crashing into water, just landing out in water, and the pilot went down with the motor. So since these things, the survival rate is, the death rate in water is negligible from what I understand. One of the instructors had a story about 14 people getting blown out into the ocean, and all 14 people survived because they had these devices. I also have a gas tank, very distinctly different. This is for mixing oil and gas, very straightforward. And they also threw in a snazzy little picture calendar. So this is the one for June. Just pictures. That was nice. And I think that's about it. So I own everything except a wing at this point. They have wings available, but not in the colors that I want. The very last takeoff video that you saw with the blue, red, and yellow, that's probably the wing I'm going to go with, but I don't like those colors. They call it the Wonder Woman colors, because I mean, without the yellow spelling a W, it's pretty much those colors. It's kind of gaudy. I say that, but the colors I want is red, orange, and white. I kind of like orange, so I'm gravitating towards that. Anyway, they don't have any of those available right now, and it's going to be 3 weeks before they come in, so I might be bumming a wing hopefully off of one of the instructors or the school or something. We'll see what I can grovel for. So so that's about it. I think what I'll do is have one more video talking about school itself, and then I'll put together some compilation videos or something like that of me taking off if people care. And I think I'm going to do also a video on just some shenanigans around the during my stay. You know, had the foresight to pull out my phone and video it. All right, it's been a long video, but yeah, hope you found it interesting. All right, talk to y'all later.